Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm from JennyCarddesigns. Thanks so much for joining me today. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting tutorials and inspiration with all of you. I hope that you enjoy. In today's video, I've got a digital to share with you that is available for purchase in my online store. And this is a digital of inside sentiments for Sympathy cards. I know many times when these cards are needed, sometimes we don't always have the right words or the things to say, but we want to send a card. So I've created this digital for you that you can download and print and cut up to create inside sentiments for your Sympathy cards. Let's take a look. So this digital has been printed out of my printer on like a 65-pound weight cardstock. So it's like a mid-weight cardstock. And I'm going to cut it up. So I'm going to pop it in my trimmer and make my first cut across the 8.5-inch side. And I'm going to cut at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to take that piece, turn it in my trimmer, and across the 11-inch side, I'm going to cut at 5 1/2. And then I've got 4 inside sentiments for my cards, and you don't have to do anything else. You can just adhere it down just like this on the inside of your card. It'll fill an entire full inside of an A2 size card base. But I like to step them up just a little bit. I like to die cut these out with some nice dies, and these are my go-to dies. I use these JennyCarddesigns master layout dies all the time. I use them for everything. They're so versatile and they have so many different designs and shapes and things in them to build and create your card fronts and insides as well. So I'm using this stitched rectangle from the JennyCarddesigns Master Layouts 5, and all of the master layouts, the rectangles, will fit these sentiments. They're designed to fit inside of them. If you're a JennyC fan, then you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to use my die cutting machine and cut out all of these panels, and they have a nice little stitch border around the edge, and it just gives that sort of elegant look. And so I've cut out all 8 of my sentiments. You'll have 8 different sentiments in this digital download, and they're going to fit nicely inside of my A2 card base. Now, if you want to step this up a little bit, you could add a little black layer in behind to sort of help that greeting stand out. I want to go for a softer look, so I'm just going to adhere these directly in the center of the inside of my card base. So I've grabbed a bunch of pre-cut and scored A2 size note cards, and I usually keep these in my drawer on hand, so I have card bases whenever I feel like creating. So I've got 8 card bases here, and then I've got my dot liner here, and I'm just gonna apply some adhesive to the back of these little pieces and then line them up into the center of my card. And then that's all I'm going to do for the inside of this card. I'm going to put all of those sentiments on the inside of all 8 of my card bases. And I'm not worrying about applying too much adhesive. A little bit will do. I'm just going to tack it down and make sure they're nice and straight and even with an even border all the way around. Okay, and then so once we have that, we've got 8 cards with inside greetings ready to go. To decorate these cards, I'm going to use this pattern paper pack. I know many of you have said your dollar store doesn't carry things like this, so I encourage you to use what you have. Even if you have 12 by 12 pattern papers, you can cut them down or dig through your stash and see what you can find. Here in Canada, the Dollarama carries these beautiful paper pads. They're $1.25. You get 24 sheets inside of them, and they have beautiful, elegant designs. They have all different kinds of them. So if you're in your nearest dollar store, take a peek and see what they've got. I'm going to separate this paper pack, and I'm going to decide which patterns are going to coordinate nicely with my Sympathy cards. So I'm just kind of digging through, and I just want some elegant florals, soft muted tones. I don't want anything too, busy or all up in your face. I just want something soft. So I just kind of flip through and put the ones that I don't want to use aside. And coincidentally, I ended up with 8 patterns. So I've got all 8 of these patterns for my card fronts. So I'm just going to take a peek here at what we got. And I really like this. These are going to turn out to be great. So I'm just going to grab my trimmer now, and I'm going to cut up these card fronts so that they're just going to fit with a 1/4 inch border all the way around. So what I'm going to do is line up my paper, and I'm going to kind of make sure that I'm paying attention to the final kind of picture that I want on the front of my card. Because I'm cutting down these patterns that are, full 6x6 images, I want to make sure that it's not going to look weird when I cut it up. So I'm cutting them down to 4 by 5.25. And I'm going to do that for all of my papers. I'm just going to pop them in my trimmer, kind of decide which piece that I want to keep as the front focal image of my card, and chop away. So 4 by 5.25. And I'm going to save all these scraps. I like to make junk journals and collages, and I'll keep all those scraps to make some collage pages later on. If you're interested in that sort of thing, let me know in the comments down below. I don't often share too much of my junk journal making, but I do love it, and I am really super addicted to it. All right, so I've got all these card fronts cut up, and I'm going to use my same dot liner, and I'm just going to adhere these panels to the front of my card bases. I just want to make sure that I get right to the edge of the pattern paper because I don't want it to peel up. So that's my main focus when I'm adhering my pattern papers down to my card fronts. I like to make sure that those corners have a good amount of adhesive on them. Okay, so I'm just going to run through all of these patterns and apply my adhesive and pop them on the front of my card base, and I have a nice little delicate border all the way around all of my images. Looks great. Love the way that looks. All right, so the next thing I'm going to need is a sentiment. There are many different stamp sets with so many different lovely greetings, thinking of you, and I'm so sorry for your loss, and things like that. So I kind of dug through my stamps and tried to pick out something that I thought would coordinate nicely with my card set. This Altenew one has a ton of really nice greetings in it. I really love this set. I don't end up using this one today. I ended up using one stamp set from Simon Says Stamp and Kathy Zilski. And I like this with Sympathy. It's a very delicate font, and what I also like is that I have the coordinating die for this, so I think it's going to look great. So I'm going to grab the words, and I'm going to lay them on my desk, and I'm going to pick them up with my acrylic block. These are Jennycarddesigns Comfort Blocks. They have a nice smooth edge, and there's a little bevel in it, so it's really nice to hold and super lightweight. So I really like these for stamping. And then I'm going to grab some pigment ink here. This is VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I call this a Sure Shot ink because every time I stamp with it, it's absolutely perfect. I love this ink. So I'm going to ink up my stamp. I just got a scrap piece of paper, and I'm going to stamp this 8 times on my scrap so that I have enough with sympathies for all of my cards. And then I'm going to grab the coordinating die. And I like this because it's not just like a rectangle or something. It actually cuts out the shape of the words. And I think that's, really nice look. And it's a little bit different than our typical banners or sentiment strips and things like that. So I'm going to use some low tack tape here and tape my die down over top of my word, making sure that I get this lined up. And then I'll grab my Gemini Junior die cutting machine, and I'll pop this in my die cut machine and get that sentiment cut out. And I'll run that through 8 times. I'll end up with 8 lovely greetings for the front of my cards. And then I'll just apply some of that dot adhesive to the back of my sentiments and then figure out where I want these to go. I'm kind of moving them around in different places, and just kind of depending on the pattern, it really will determine where I want to drop my sentiment down. So I went ahead and I did that for all of my cards. And now these cards are pretty much complete. I wanted to add one little extra something to some of them. So I have this Jennycarddesigns watercolor floral ephemera pack. And this came in one of her recent kits, and it's available for purchase separately too. I just love these elegant watercolor looking things. They're really pretty. So I just kind of dug through and found little leaves and floral images that kind of match each of the cards. And for most of these, I placed them on the inside of the card. I felt like that just brought another level to this card and just made it feel all around complete. So I applied my adhesive and tacked those elements down on the inside of the card. There were a couple of cards that I added more embellishment to. There was some larger peonies that I added. And there was one card that I felt that could use some of those pretty florals on the front. And then that was it. I just picked through these die cuts and popped them all around the inside of my cards and tried to decorate them. I don't want them to be too over the top. I want them to be soft and pretty and get my message across. And then that's it. These cards are complete. Super simple, super easy. All the words are there. You don't need to think. You can just print these up and cut them out and pass them along. It makes it easier when people are going through a difficult time, and if you don't have the right words to say, we can make a card that will say it for us. Okay, so that is going to be it for today's video. Let's take a look at all of the cards that we made today and their insides with their little ephemera pieces on the inside, and I'm just going to pair these with some white envelopes. This set of note cards is going to go to the retirement home that I always drop my cards off to. Hopefully this may help somebody who's in a tough spot and not sure what to say. If you're interested in the products I used in today's video, you'll find it linked in the description box down below, including a link to my website where you can pick up a copy of these digital sentiments. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Like, comment down below the video and let me know if you like this content, if you're interested in more content like this, or if you have any ideas or things that you'd like to see in my channel, then please let me know. Coming up on screen is a playlist for many other ways to use 6x6 pattern papers in your card making. Thanks again for joining me. Have yourself a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!